During that time, I had some sort of weird mental thing where it was like, the only way I'm going to be able to bring honor to myself, bring value to myself and others, and get that quote unquote like that love was if I sacrificed and if I worked hard and if I did all this stuff, then they would have to like recognize me. I mean, they would have to appreciate me. They would have to do all this stuff.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mood Lifters. In this week's call, I sat down with Chris to talk about mindset and just getting in that mindset to help him on his journey. He talks to me about his military experience, and it's some real shit that he talks about. So I wanted to get this going right away. So without further ado, let's get into it. I hope all y'all are doing good today. It's me and Chris today. We're going to sit down and do a strategy call. And Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay today, Tony. I appreciate it. I got my bowl of fruit here today. It's the official to kind of kick off the day. Yeah, we were originally going to meet on Sunday, right? But it was like, dude, the PTSD and stuff hit me hard. I was like super down, super depressed. And I feel like that's one of the big things with it. It just kind of creeps up out of nowhere, and it just gets you. It was like I had a good day Friday, a great day Saturday, and then it was like Saturday night, man. It just like came on in. I think part of it, honestly, is every year on the anniversary of the first time me and my squad mates were in combat, we get together, over like Zoom or FaceTime, and we all smoke a cigar and have a glass of whiskey, and we just catch up and bullshit. I think this year we're planning on doing like one of those big movie streams, and we're going to stream the movie together, just kind of bullshit. Well, the anniversary is this Thursday, the 22nd. So in 2 days. And I think it was just, I don't know, getting close to the anniversary, just a lot of memories and, unwanted thoughts all just kind of started creeping in, and dude, it hit me hard. I didn't sleep well Saturday night. I was sleeping most of the day Sunday. And then yesterday, I was like, nope, we need to get out of this funk a little bit. And I'm still kind of in the funk, but I got up, I started doing my normal routine. I ate a healthy breakfast, a healthy lunch. Like for breakfast, I had, my protein shake. For lunch, I had a Subway sandwich. And then for dinner, I did end up having a pizza. I was just like, it's kind of whatever. And I ate a pizza, but I also went to the gym before that as well. And I went to the gym, and I know in my mind, we were doing the whole 6 exercises, 45 reps. And I usually try and like do it to where it's challenging, but I'm still able to work out the next day. But I was just like, no, we're going hard. So I went hard, and I felt much better afterwards. But like, I'm definitely sore now from that workout, but I still plan on going today. I went grocery shopping, and I spent like $250, and I got like a bunch of chicken and veggies and fruit and steak and some healthy cereal, protein and whatnot. And I'm starting that all up. And my goal is to like not spend money, or to spend as little money as possible on like food, and just kind of use what I have and start cooking more. So yeah, that's where I am. Like this morning I got up, I had a protein shake for breakfast. Now I'm eating like my bowl of fruit, and my goal is just to make it to lunch, where I'm going to cook me some rice, some veggies, some chicken, season them up, air fry them, maybe get a little bit of roasted potatoes in there, do something similar for dinner. That's kind of my game plan.
You deserve, when you have those rough days, to get those mental breaks, because I think that's so important. We're usually our own worst critic, and when we're not able to get the exercise in or not be able to eat as properly because we're dealing with some shit, it's one of those things where you're entitled to, get that break. You don't have to be hard on yourself in that regard, because I feel like a lot of people deal with this in their own way. And with you're dealing with some rough stuff from the past and things like that. And, even if it's a couple of days of rest, you're coming back on track, and that's how it should be, right? You're not at a point where it's like, oh, what's the point after I'm having these 2 or 3 days of rest? What's the point of getting back on track? You're just like, nah, fuck that. I'm going to get back on track and do my thing. That's ultimately what we all have to do, just to bounce back. And I know that you'll see a lot of motivation from personal development, fitness, and all that stuff. It's like, just destroy your body, just fucking go. Like, and I like that kind of motivation, but then there's some days where your brain's just like, shit, I can't, be focusing on this kind of stuff. I'll be honest with you too. I feel like you were dealing with your thing. Grant was feeling under the weather. I was dealing with my own thing. It's like that thing where you're dealing with either mental or physical stressors in your life. And both are one and the same, as we've mentioned. And if you're dealing with that, it's okay to take a step back, go lighter, or take a rest day or two, and then get back on track. My voice is cracking all day today. Just get back on track and then just keep pushing forward. So kudos to you for doing that. I know it's especially tough. I'm glad that you're going to the grocery store and you're like, I'm going to cook this. I have my plan, things like that. That's a good solid step in the right direction. And I'm proud of you. Like, regardless of the shit circumstances, like our little obstacles that we all deal with, you keep pushing forward. And that fires me up a lot.
Dude, I appreciate it. Like I know everyone has their own internal struggle, right? Like no one's exempt from their own internal struggle. I think one of the hardest things that I struggle with is just the feeling of being alone a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's not because, like I'm single or anything. I love my alone time, but it's just like you don't have anyone around you immediately that like just understands you or gets you. Like, for example, we have a lot of stuff going on with, the job that we're involved in. And, the recent news is if they want to start a brand, and I'm super pumped about it. Mm-hmm. We're going to be on it on the ground floor up. It's a great opportunity. We're going to essentially, get to build something that doesn't exist from nothing, scale it up to multi-million-dollar business, and then, eventually, possibly sell it, right? It's a big deal. And I was sharing this news like with my family, and I was like, hey, look, I'm going to be involved in this. They got confidence in us. We're going to blah, 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 blah. And they're just like, okay. You know what I mean? And I was like, it's going to be fun, you guys. And they're like, it shouldn't be fun, Christopher. You know what I mean? And I was like, Jesus, like, what kind of life do you guys live? But it's just stuff like that. And then I was also thinking back on like my military career, and I was like, man, I spent like all of my 20s, just serving and fighting and, just going through the shit, and being blown up and shot at and stabbed and all sorts of other stuff. And then I look at some of these other, guys in their 20s, and they're starting their own brands and they got their own stuff going on and they're just like so confident about it. And it just seems like not a care in the world. And I'm just like, man, like part of me is like, did I make the wrong choice? You know what I mean? But then I also realized, like, if I never joined the military, I would still be back in Ohio, probably working at the same factory my parents work at, and I never would have left and everything else. So it's like, yeah, I had to go through all that to get to, mm-hmm. Where I am, and, which is going to get me to where I'm going to be in the future. So I understand, that sacrifice. And part of the reason I served is so, others don't have to, but it just doesn't make it any easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? And, yeah, that's just kind of where I was at, headspace wise and trying to get back into the gym and working out. Cause, like I have this vision of myself of being like a beast as far as, in shape wise and strength and where I want to be and what I want to look like and, how strong I want to be in shape and health wise and everything. And it just seems like an almost impossible task, you know what I mean? Because, it's also like, I'm a realist. I understand that, I weigh for 350 and I want to get to, 200 or so. That's 150 pounds. That's going to take the better part of probably 2 years to get to, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, and then on top of that, it's going to be, once you lose the weight, then it's going to be building the muscle and getting to the shape you want, which will probably be like another year. So yeah, it's like, if I obviously consistently keep at it every day and doing what I'm supposed to do, then yeah, in 3 years time, I'll be where I want to be at and I'll be much better for it. It's just, it just seems like such a faraway task. It's like when I compare it to something similar, like when I used to run in the military, I used to run 9 miles a couple times a week. I would always look at it like, hey, I got to get to that next telephone pole, and then, okay, now I got to get to the next telephone pole. And then I got to get to the next telephone pole. I would never look at it and be like, hey, I got to get 4 more miles that way. Because once you get to all these telephone poles, you can look back and be like, look at all the distance I've covered.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand like the mindset and the strategy. It's just, it's just difficult, getting it there.
Yeah.
Something I think about is like with Chris Pratt, he lost a bunch of weight to get in the role for Marvel. And he was saying when he was like on Office Parks and Recreation, when he was like fatter, he would live for food and he would have like these super big highs when he would eat. And then the rest of the day was super lows. Mm-hmm. Now that he's in shape, it's like his lows are eating, but his high is everything else throughout the day. You know what I mean? And so eventually that's where I want to be in my overall rambling.
So a couple things I wanted to touch up on that, because I took some notes just in regards to things like loneliness, for example. I resonated with you a lot on this because, when you're doing this entrepreneurial thing, you're starting your own business. I'm working on mine. We're doing this journey. It could be a very lonely road because no one understands in your general vicinity. And I resonate with this a lot, even like with relationships and stuff. No one really understands what you're going through because it's something that they're not really taught, right? They're taught to, go through high school, go to college, get your education, and go work for a corporation. And that's like the general mainstream, pathway.
Yeah.
And to me, it's very frustrating because that was never me. I always wanted to do my own thing, start my own business since I was a young kid. But I had to follow that pathway to kind of understand that. But then like trying to get other people to understand it, they haven't really witnessed it or experienced it in themselves. So it kind of can get very lonely. But the fact that I have you and a couple other guys on our team that built their businesses, they're growing. I can kind of sit down and have an interaction with you guys, and you guys understand everything that I'm going through, right? And even with, we were talking about the brand building project, I have not mentioned it to any of my family members because I already know what some of them are going to say. They're going to be like, oh, this kid's a psychopath. Like he's talking out his ass. I'm like, I'm just going to wait until, things build up. And then when things happen, I'll casually just be like, all right, you guys want me to buy, here's a brand new car, right? And they're like, what is my son a drug dealer or what's going on? It's like, no, I'm actually following the process that I told you guys I'd follow in the past, but I knew it was bound to come. And that loneliness piece is like one thing I really like about the Zoom interactions that we're able to have is that, talking about the fitness, talking about business and stuff like that, I can confide in you, right? And you can confide in me in these certain situations. And to me, I try my best not to be like super judgmental in it. And I try to understand, what you're coming from, what your point of view is and things like that. And it allows me to really appreciate, different experiences and different like circumstances that people are in, they're dealing with, what kind of made them become the person that they are right now, and who are they trying to become, and so on. And tying it into the goals that you said, it was like, it seems impossible right now. I resonate with that a lot too, because like the action comes before the belief, right? You got to put in the work before you start to believe in it. And it's easy to say that, right? But like when you're in it and you're trying to experience that, you're like, man, this seems like it's so far away. And the most recent thing for me that came in that scenario is like the martial arts. When I first started, my coach, shout out to Arig. I've known Arig since like we were in middle school. He is one of the the most genuine dudes, but he's also like, he's very transparent. He's very candor. Like he's honest, and it comes with tough love, but he genuinely cares. He wants to see you succeed. So like, he was frustrated for me when I was starting because even though I was weightlifting and stuff like that, one issue I was dealing with was poor coordination. Like any type of footwork, any type of drills, like, football players would do some drills and just movements like that. That's some stuff you need to do for martial arts because you're basically moving your body, you're doing all these flips and stuff. And he was trying to teach me this stuff. And I just like, it would take me 45 minutes to understand like a little leg adjustment. And he'd just be like, you suck, dude. and for me, it stings, but then it fires me up because I'm like, I'm going to prove him wrong. And that was his training style. That's how he coached people. And like that's a different style of coaching than I typically do, but it worked really well for me because he's like, I know you got this. You can't give up on this. There was one time where I got frustrated with it and he's like, you're giving up? He started getting mad. He's like, you are not going to give up right now. He's like, you got to keep doing this. You can't just say that, because he's like, you seem like the most optimistic dude, but you're giving up now. You're supposed to be optimistic throughout everything, not just one thing, And I was like, damn, he's hitting me hard right now. He's teaching me. But like, once I started getting the coordination down, the goals that I aspired to do in this martial arts stuff seemed more possible, right? And ultimately, I think it comes down to just do what seems possible to you and just keep pushing beyond that, right? And it's all about like you were saying, just like the polls, every step of the way. And then you look back and you're like, I already did all this shit. Let me just take another step. Let me take another step. And you can keep looking back at it when you're feeling like you're at a low point, in the day, or you're feeling like you're exhausted on a workout session. And you just think about the past experiences you had. And you're like, I'm going to go one more rep. I'm going to go one more set. I'm going to go an extra 10,000 steps and things like that.
I think, and I completely agree with you. I think one of the things that I struggle with, I know it's one of the things I struggle with, I think it's one of the things that isn't talked about as much. And I believe it ties straight into the depression stuff as well, is lack of confidence, right? When I look at some of these kids, and I say kids, they're not kids, they're in their 20s. When I look at some of these people like doing their own brands or, lifting weights or, whatever, and I just see like their confidence level, like, okay, yeah, we're going to start a new multi-billion million dollar brand. We're going to make it around this. We're going to contact these influencers. I suppose we should probably do this. I'm like, where do they get off having this level of confidence?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's something I've always kind of struggled with, even in the military. And I understand, like, for me, a lot of it comes down to the stories we tell ourselves inside our heads, about what we think other people are saying or thinking or doing. And I know exactly where that comes from. It's for me, it was like my family, my parents growing up. And then when I was in the military, it was, very much a hostile work environment, right? Like, dude, there were years in my career, especially when I was a young soldier, like you were terrified to go to work. Everyone was terrified to go to work, like to the point where like you were like literally shaking because you were like, man, like, what are they going to do to me today? You know what I mean? Like, it was like they weren't allowed to hit you, but they were allowed to hit you. You know what I mean? They did shit like wall-to-wall counseling, which is basically where they take you into a room and it's like, no headshots, no like below the belt shots. But then basically they would just, wrestle and fight. And it was like Fight Club and they would just beat the shit out of you, right? Constantly. And it was like 2-on-1s and whatnot because they're like, oh, your button was undone on your uniform, like something very minor infraction, wall-to-wall counseling, because they're like, we can either write you up for paperwork and leave a paper trail, which will eventually get you in a lot of trouble and then, kicked out and affect your career, or we can just go in this back room and like beat the shit out of you. You know what I mean? So like it was like there was a lot of that, especially early on in my career. The military's kind of gone away from that now, or at least in the last like 5 years that I was in, which is a few years ago. They kind of went away with that because that was a lot of old school leaders and a lot of, that whole mindset. But a lot of it stemmed from that, dude. I specifically remember being in Germany and I just got hired on to do a back office job for a supply. And they were like, hey, we're revamping the whole supply warehouse. We're tearing down the shelves, putting in like these automatic electric shelves. You're now in charge of it. Go. And I'm like, I don't what? I was like, I just got hired. What is this? So I'm trying to like figure this stuff out on the fly, as how the military goes. And I wasn't doing it like the correct way or whatever. And then my boss would like, I would be off of work and he would just call me just to scream at you. And then like, he'd just like, blah, 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 then hang up the phone. And he was like, okay. And then all of a sudden you call back just to yell at you some more and then hang up the phone. It was just like that constant, like hostile work environment. And that's what made me second guess and question and need support and approval for like, I feel like everything in my life. And I've been working hard, to get away from that. And that's one of the things where I'm struggling with, because part of it is like, hey, obviously I know how to work out. I know how to eat right. But then it's like, do I know? Should I be eating this plum? Is that gonna, you know what I mean? And that's where like that whole second guessing thing comes in. And it's frustrating because I look at some of these other people who wasn't in the military, who had presumably happier childhoods. And it's just like, they're just like, yeah, no, we're going to do this. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? You know what I mean? And I was like, I know what the worst that can happen is. And that's something that's something that I've just been struggling with. And I think that's tying over a lot into my diet and my exercising because it is a source of stress for me. And my comfort is comfort eating. And it's something I've been working hard. I've been reading books. I've been, listening to audiobooks. I've just been surrounding myself with a higher level caliber of person, right? Like for example, you, the Pineapple Team, Grant.
Thanks,
yeah, no worries. I got you. Even like my best friend of like 20 years, when I was starting a cancer support business to help out cancer patients, he went off. He's very, very far left. He doesn't believe in capitalism and thinks, starting business is like the devil. But he would offer me one day, and like we got into a fight that almost ended the friendship because he was just like, you're just in it for the money. You're taking advantage of people at the worst day of their lives. And they're just accusing, like gaslighting, all this terrible shit. And now, and then now that's even stuck with me. to be like, hey man, like, am I doing this stuff for the right reasons? Am I doing blah, blah, blah? And like, in my heart, I know I am, but it's just, perception of other people's thoughts and you know what I mean? So that's something that I'm trying to get over and struggle with, because I know it's affecting my lifestyle, my diet, my exercise, as a form of anxiety and depression.
I feel that, dude, especially like the business thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I will say to that is you kind of realize as you go into it and you start building the company and stuff, I feel like there's a necessity for building a business out of it. This is how, the world works. And like one of the things that made me realize that if I put my own money into this business and it starts making more money, I'm able to expand the opportunities of things that are benefiting my own people, right? And then I can bring more products on board. Like we were talking about protein snacks. Like a lot of people keep asking me about those. A lot of people have been asking me about other supplements coming down the line. Like people want these things created because it's going to benefit them on their journey. And I don't mind just keep funneling it back in for it to expand and expand and expand. And if it just so happens to pay for my livelihood, I think that's well-deserved because you created something that's benefiting a lot of people. And, on an outside look, somebody might think of it in a perspective of like, you're just trying to make money. But like, I've realized, especially working around with you guys, is like the money is just secondary. It's more about the passion and the vision that you serve and who you're trying to serve. And one of the things is like, I'm super passionate about helping these people because I wouldn't be an incredible salesperson if I didn't believe in what I was doing, right? Like if I worked sales jobs in the past where I didn't believe in it and I just sucked at selling because I didn't believe in the product, why would I sell that product to somebody, and just like me not believing in it, sell it to them and I'm just ripping them off. I'm basically like scamming them basically.
Yeah.
Some people can operate like that, not me. So then I was like, I have to create something that I'm passionate about so that I could sell it to people because I'll be able to help them on their journey. And that's what keeps me going. And ultimately, like the whole confidence thing too, is like, even though some of the guys are like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, no problem. In the back of their minds, they're fearful of certain things. We all feel this, signs of fear and anxiety, the fear of failure, the lack of confidence. Like it hits me sometimes too in my own business because I think about my past experiences and, as a kid growing up, that stuff still creeps on me. But I'm able to push it down even better year over year after I consistently make this progress because there's that piece of sense of doubt, that need for validation from other people, that need of, am I doing the right thing? If I say something out of turn, like let's say I say something like, I love the free market, I love capitalism, ooh, daddy capitalism. Like, if I say that, I'm fearful of people being like, oh, he's like pro this and he hates these people and he hates that. And I'm like, not really. I don't know what you're talking about there. You're just making assumptions, but like it will sting. It will sting if somebody says that about me. But as I get older and I start building this identity for myself and I see what I'm doing and I'm seeing what I'm doing benefiting people, as you will too, you'll notice too, as you make the fitness progress, as you make the business, as things grow, you're going to be like, damn, I'm helping people out, and these people can crap on me, but what are they doing? I hope they're doing the same thing. If they want to crap on me, I hope they're at the same level as me. If not, that's their problem, right? And that's what it ultimately comes down to. And all in all, I know this is like just a jumble of everything we just talked about, but all in all, I think it's just that mindset work. We have to constantly do that mindset work to really be like, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm fearful of this, but I know that if I do this, I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to make adjustments with it. Next thing you know, I'm going to be benefiting a lot of people. People will message me saying, I love what you're doing. You're helping me out. That stuff is what I get in emails. That stuff is what I get in messages now because of what I'm doing here. And it's all because like, ultimately you're giving much more than what you're asking for. Like you're giving, you're giving out your assortment of, stuff like this, videos, content, like we're helping each other out on our journeys. And then people are watching this and people might be like, hey, can I come on? Yeah, absolutely. Come on in. Like Facebook group. If you guys want to jump on a call, just let me know. I'll bring you right in. Like I can provide you the best value I possibly can, in these sit down calls. And that's more important than a $40 pre-workout that I sell on Amazon, right? Like you just have one of these, just, oh yeah, here, buy. You don't have to buy it, but if you want to buy it, great. That's going to benefit the brand. But if you want to stick,
selfless plug.
Selfless plug. But if you want to buy it, great. If not, I don't care. As long as you are benefiting from the journey of using exercise to battle your depression, to lose weight, to take control of your life, that's my ultimate goal. And I think I've said this before too. My mom is from New York. So as a kid, I grew up with like hip hop, rock and roll and all that stuff. But like, I remember one time I was listening to Tupac as a young kid. And he was like, he basically said the quote, I want to spark the minds that will change the world, something along the lines of that. And I remember that. And that's like been on the forefront of my mind throughout my childhood and as I get older and stuff. And now it's becoming more clear as day that if I do this, if I help people on their journey, people lose weight, they feel much more confident and they feel like, you know what? Becoming a multi-billionaire that's going to benefit people and donate millions of dollars to these communities that are in need does not seem like a hard task because I went through all that mental bullshit that I was dealing with. Maybe I can do that too. And then they go towards it. And it's like, all it took was like, just start working out, you know, slowly eat better. Now you're slowly sleeping better. Now things are feeling a lot more clearer. You're feeling a lot more confident and the momentum's coming. That's what I'm here for. They initiate that. They initiate the journey of you becoming your best self. Like exercise is just one part of it. And when you're able to incorporate that frequently, you'll be like, you know what? You know, I'm dealing with this impossible task at work, or it seems impossible. I already dealt with all this bullshit with physical activity, my depression and all that stuff. This is nothing, you know?
Yeah. And dude, I love that Tupac quote. I just Googled it, by the way. And it says, I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I'll spark the brain that will change the world.
That's it.
Yeah. And to go back on like what you were saying, these people can say whatever they want, but are they on my level? You know what I mean? I smiled at that because I just watched the Ryan Moran video yesterday, and he was like, I'm going to make a video talking about the World Economic Forum. And he's like, when I announced I was going to do this, everyone started calling me a communist. Everyone started calling me a traitor to the US and everything. And I was like, it makes sense. I get it. You know, like something I was thinking about heavily last night as well was I was like, I need to stop wishing more. I mean, the whole part of the reason, I guess growing up, I was literally like counting down the days since I was like 14 to be like, this is when I turn 18 and when I can leave. You know what I mean? Like until then, like I'm stuck here, but I only got this many more days on my sentence, you know, kind of thing. And then literally like I turned 18 in March. I graduated high school like June 1st, and June 28th, I was off in basic training, right? Like I was wham, bam, gone. And throughout my military career for the next 11 years, dude, I was blown up. I was shot at. I was stabbed twice. I led men into combat. Like I did all these things. And like looking back on it, it's easy to say, hey, I made a mistake as a leader or as a person. I should have handled this situation better. But it's like at the time, with what I had and what was going on, I thought I was doing the best I could. You know what I mean? And so I was like, I shouldn't be shitting on myself for that. And part of, I guess, I don't want to say my stress, I guess part of my stress or my regret is like, I wasn't in more combat. Because I during that time, I had some sort of weird mental thing where it was like, the only way I'm going to be able to bring honor to myself, bring value to myself and others, and, you know, get that quote unquote, like that love was if I sacrificed and if I worked hard and if I, you know, did all this stuff, you know, then they would have to like recognize me. You know, I mean, they would have to appreciate me. They would have to do all this stuff. And so part of me like sort of regrets that I wasn't in more combat. You know what I mean? There is not a single person I know, like I know personally, who's done the things I've done. You know what I mean? Like when I went to Iraq, I was in the absolute most dangerous job that the squad had constantly. We were actively told that like the gunner up on the turret of the Humvees in a firefight, their lifespan was 33 seconds. That's how long they were expected to live in a firefight. My job was 7. Like in a firefight, my life expectancy was 7 seconds. And, you know, and I made it out of all of it, right? So I shouldn't be, I guess like when I look at it and I say, hey, do I know people who would voluntarily do the stuff I did? Yeah, absolutely. Like I know a lot of military guys. I'm still friends with a lot of, you know, military guys. So I know that if push came to shove, they would do a lot of the stuff that I did in combat because it's what we do. But like civilian wise, I can't name a one. You know what I mean? And so I think I'm not putting myself on the level that I should be putting myself on. You know what I mean?
Damn straight.
And I feel like if we all of a sudden flip the switch, we're in the Middle East, or hey, you know, I don't know, Red Dawn comes and Russia is currently invading, like my nervousness, my anxiety, my depression, like it goes away, and my leadership skill is like instantly up here because I'm like, guys, this is what we got to do. Let's do it. You know, I'm a great leader. I'm confident. I'm strong, and I know what to do. But it's like whenever we're not in those life or death military situations, it's, I don't know, dude, like I instantly like, I'm not good enough. I'm not up there. You know what I mean? And I need to stop looking at myself that way and just take confidence in charge, because it's like, look at, like, for example, even the profitable pineapple job that we do. Like, I've learned obviously so much in the last, 6 7 months of working there. And I'm more confident now to be like, hey, client issue, whatever, I'm going to handle it, absolutely fine, no issue. But I only learned that by doing it and making the mistakes in the first place. You know what I mean? So I think I just need to, I don't know, have more confidence in that. And then that will kind of spill over into the rest of my life, because it's like, yeah, I'll go to the gym and it's like, I don't know what the perfect back workout is to where you can hit every single little muscle in the back. You know what I mean? But I know enough to do, hey, upper body, lower body, you know what I mean, of a back workout, upper back, lower back, traps, lats, and I know enough to do that. Let's just do it, and then you'll expand, you'll grow, and you'll learn from there. I was, dude, I was in the gym yesterday, and I see like these really buff guys, and they're like squatting 400 pounds or so, and they're really getting it. And I'm over there, just like doing like the rope pull downs for the triceps. And like I felt a little embarrassed for myself, because as I'm looking, it's like, I'm like this, and then you hit my gut, and I'm kind of like, out here like that, and I got like these fat arms, and I'm just like, doing that whole thing. And I see these guys lifting all these weights, but part of me didn't care, because I know I'll eventually get there, but I want to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know that, dude. I know that feeling. I will say, I was getting goosebumps when you were telling me about the military stuff and how you're like, when it's battle, like I know the shit that I have to do, but when it's not, it's like, damn, you have that lack of confidence kicking in and stuff. Man, that's some real shit, dude.
Yeah, right. And part of me is, I feel like comparing myself to people like, not David Goggins, but like, oh, I can't think of his name now.
Jocko?
Yeah, Jocko Williams, But I was like, Jocko is special forces, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think one of the things I long for, even in like this community or really overall, is just that, that sense of brotherhood, the sense of commitment. Like, I joined the military to be like, hey, I want that band of brothers moment, where it's like, hey, we're united, we're together. And the truth is, like, you have closeness, because you're all going through shit, but everyone's just trying to deal with it in their own way. Some people turn mean, some people turn violent, some people cry, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's just trying to get through it. You know what I mean? Because it's not fun, it's terrible. And you see a lot of terrible things. But yeah, so I think ever since then, I've always been kind of searching for that community, that you can just bond with, and people just get you. You know what I mean?
I gotta ask you about that. That's something that I'm really trying. I've been thinking about so much lately, because I'm like, I can do videos all day. I can talk with you guys in interaction and stuff, but I feel like that brotherhood vibe, that brotherhood feel needs to be here, and it needs to be there, that people understand that we're here to help you the best we possibly can. Don't be ashamed. If you have questions, feel free to ask. We're all part of this journey together. And I wanted to ask you, how could we do that better? Like, how could we, based on your perspective, what do you think we need to do for it to be, that intimate, that real, and things like that?
Whether you choose to do it paid or not paid, I feel like it's up to you. One of the suggestions that I had, and something I've been thinking about, eventually maybe trying to do it like with my own brand, my own way, is to bring people in on a subscription basis service. So it'd be like, hey, you're paying even $20 a month, $30 a month, whatever, and you basically, a couple times a month, once every 2 weeks, we hop on a Zoom call, and then we talk, we connect, we bullshit about what's going on in our lives, our workouts and whatnot. And then basically through that, we do challenges together, like the Filthy 50, where we did 50 days, 50 push-ups, 50 pull-ups, 50 sit-ups. And, we do things like that, maybe not full 50 days, but, whatever it is. Hey, this month we're doing the isometric challenge, where we're all about abs. And every day you got to do 5-minute planks, you know what I mean? Or 5 minutes of planks, you know what I mean? Whatever. And I think that would be a great way to at least start that. Something I was going to talk about eventually that I want to do with my own hiking brand is I wanted to start doing, or I was going to try and incorporate trips, like quarterly trips. Hey, this quarter we're going to Ireland and we're going to see Stonehenge and we're going to see Hadrian's Wall and we're going to see, oh, Hadrian's Wall is in Scotland, but whatever. You know what I mean? Like we're going to do hiking, we're going to do exploration, we're going to do this, we're going to do exercise, we're going to bond. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest way people bond is by doing things together. You know what I mean? And if we can't do things in person because everyone's kind of spread out, and if it's too early in the process to say, hey, we're going to start making quarterly trips, to somewhere in the US to go hike or go do whatever, then it needs to be somewhere else where everyone's kind of getting engaged. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think I shared it with you, the site Men We Admire. That's where I had originally gotten the idea from.
That's a pretty damn. I appreciate you bringing this up again because this is something I was curious about. And when I was writing this, I don't know if you played Fallout, but yeah, like Brotherhood still popped up in my head, and I'm like sitting here and I'm like, there's a lot we can do, like the once per week Zoom calls, the challenges, doing things together, even if it's like a live video. It's like, oh, check out this workout that I'll do right now. I'm going to show you guys an exercise that you can do for blah, 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 And I wanted to ask you too, in that regard, should we create like I have that Discord line around, should I keep that as like utilizing it? We have our Facebook group, and then the Discord is a lot more like kind of intimate and more.
Yeah.
I feel like that.
I've recently just started getting into Discord and trying to figure it out, because before I was only using it just if we're doing like online gaming or something, hop on a call. But I've been trying to get more in Discord. And the way it was easier to explain to me was like Discord's like Reddit. You know what I mean? Like you have all these like sub channels and whatnot, and you can dive through. And I was like, that makes more sense to me, than trying to understand Discord in general. But I think you could probably marry the two together. You know what I mean? I think the Facebook group is good for some people, Discord's better for others, but it's not like you can make the two mutually exclusive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Or
definitely, it's just something to think about.
You can still, for example, keep the current Facebook group, and then if you did decide to go for like a monthly subscription based, whatever, then move them up to a private Facebook group onto like the Discord server, something like that.
One thing I was thinking about, because I don't know if I would do it subscription based, but I was doing, I want to, how can I do this? Well, what I'm thinking about is in my martial arts class, they have, the regular classes and stuff. And then when you start to get good and people start to notice you, they have the MMA classes, and the MMA classes. These are the guys that are actually competing. Some of them are actually actual well-known fighters that come to these classes, but it's like an exclusive class available only to a few people. And I feel like if, let's say, for example, a Facebook group is like, so you get some engagement from the Facebook group, somebody really wants to see more progress and things like that. It's like, we can help you in the Facebook group, but since you're, contributing to it and you're providing so much value, let me give you an exclusive invite to our Discord. And in this Discord, you're going to get a lot more information. You're going to get a lot more exclusives and things like that. And I think that will provide that value for people and that incentive to, go through this and really be able to get some access to some exclusive stuff, being able to access the Discord server where it's like a more intimate community that can kind of hold each other accountable,
I can get behind that. The only reason I said like paid service was because I feel like people value stuff more that they pay for it. You know what I mean? Versus,
I agree with that.
Overall, of just hey, it's free. But if you're going to make it, where it's more like, hey, you start making progress, you start engaging with the group, and then you can bump up. I don't know if a lot of people would do that, just because you know what I mean. It's like the email thing where you're like, hey, just reply back one word. If you're like, hey, reply back and answer these 4 questions, even though it's very easy, people I feel like just won't do it. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. This is something I'm curious about, and I want
something to toy around with.
Yeah, definitely want to try something like that out, because I feel like, in my opinion too, it's like with Facebook, people will interact on Facebook. Because some of the guys that I talk to, they don't really use like that kind of social media where they're like on the front facing on social media. They prefer like more private things like Reddit and Discord. So it's kind of like me trying to figure out what's going to work best for them, that they feel comfortable talking in, where they're not, they don't feel like they're going to be judged, at least initially, because it's one of those things where even though I'll be like, this is judgment free, environment. If you have any question you ask is a damn good question, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You have that back of the mind hesitation where somebody's gonna be like, oh, that's stupid, or oh, that's dumb. And it's like, I won't tolerate that in a group. I will say that. But if somebody feels more comfortable, being a little bit more anonymous with a Discord name, that's fine by me,
Yeah, and I get that. I think it's all kind of good options. I appreciate the talk, Tony. I feel like it really helped me kind of clear some stuff up.
It was a really good talk with just like the mental talk. I think that's so important, especially, alongside the fitness journey. Cause like, you're not only improving your body, you're trying to focus on improving your mind as well. And as you go through it, just keep making those adjustments. And, whenever you're dealing with some shit, just let me know. Let me know, and then we can talk through it. Same goes for Grant. If he sees this later on, I will send him a link and I'll be like, watch this, Grant, because you're missing out, bro. No. But did you have any questions about, nutrition, exercise in particular, or just?
No, not at the moment. I mean, I'm kind of trying to treat it like the quarters of the day,
Yes,
kind of
I
thing.
love
Like, like, hey, as long as you're, it's like obviously try and be good for all 4 quarters, but if you're good for at least 3 of them, not a terrible day. You know what I mean?
I like that because it's a great mindset to have. It's helped me a lot too.
Yeah, no, I'm just also trying to do stuff to take care of my own body. You know what I mean? Like flossing every day for like teeth. Like my skin gets like super dry on like my feet, like where they just crack. So like I've been trying to like purposely like put lotion on my feet every day, just small things like that to try and take care of the body the overall. Like right now I just feel really stiff, and I know part of that is because of my mattress, but I only got like a month more on that thing, and then then I'm good. But part of it is also like my sciatic. So I've been trying, and this is where something I'm struggling with currently, is I'm just trying to like look at YouTube videos to be like, what can I do to just get that mobility back and like my hips and my legs, and and try and do some of these stretches, because it's like right now like I'm shuffling like down the hallway. You know what I mean?
One thing I will say is don't just look at the static stretches, which is static is like where you're holding in place, like a lunge position or things like that. Look at also dynamic things. So dynamic stretches are more so like you're moving your legs, where you can kind of move your legs up and down and around. You just keep doing that repetitiously, and that will help with certain muscle groups that you want to work on. Look at both the static and the dynamic. I think the dynamic will help a lot with mobility. I think it would be good afterwards. If you do like a dynamic stretch and then the static stretch, I think that would be good. Combination of the two.
Yeah, I know. It's something I just need to, I think, work on as well. I appreciate it. I'll YouTube some stuff and see what I come up with.
Cool. And then, what I'll do too is I'll recommend some, if you guys are ever interested, I'm going to let you and Grant know. If you guys are ever interested in some podcasts when it comes to exercise and nutrition, let me know. I have some podcasts I listen to. Sometimes they can get super sciencey. So I'm trying to avoid that and kind of minimize that a lot, because like when you hear like all these buzzwords and stuff, and even myself, I'm just like, what the hell is he saying? And I have to sit there and comprehend it, because I'm not like, I read science and stuff, but I'm not too science savvy with, definitions of what this whatever word is and things like that. But I try to simplify it for myself. And if I can find something that, will help you guys, if you're curious about listening about a certain topic and stuff, I can try and find it. So.
Okay. Cool. I appreciate it, man. I had something I was going to say, but I lost it.
Uh-oh. No.
Right?
It's going to pop up after the call.
Oh, when you were talking science stuff, I think one of the issues as well that I run into, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, is I feel like I need to min-max everything to be like, for example, the calorie counting, or, how many carbs, the macros, the nutrients, the, whatever, blah, 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 are you getting? And it's like, how do I do this to where I'm getting the max out of it? You know what I mean? And not wasting time or energy, whatever. And I think just trying to figure that out, or, pausing to be like, well, I'll figure that out tomorrow. All that's just kind of preventing you. Yeah, it's just preventing you from just doing anything. So just get out there and start doing it. You know what I mean? Like something that I've struggled with, something I've been trying to do, like calorie counting. Yeah, like what's my best actual calories, the macros, the fats, the carbs that I need to have. I could sit here and try and figure that out, and then try and spend all day being like, all right, well, this piece of chicken breast is, this much protein and this much fat and this, then it's like, or I could just eat it and, and we'll just, go, hey, I haven't lost any weight, but I've been feeling kind of full. Let's maybe start, cutting it back a little bit. You know what I mean?
And that's exactly how you should do it. I feel like calories and macronutrient tracking, it might help some people, but
Mhm.
for others, I feel like that's a more advanced method for like people who are competing in bodybuilding, or people who are competing in like a strength sport or mixed martial art, where they have to track calories because they have to weight cut and things like that. Like I
Yeah.
understand that, but for like most people, it honestly is like flexibility and like that ranges of just trying things out, assessing. And it may take some time, it may take a couple of weeks till you figure it out. But once you do, it's going to be like a consistent progress until it starts to slow down again. And then you
Yeah.
do it again. And that's just how it is. And then it'll get to a certain point where your body's comfortable at a certain body weight. And like when you get a comfortable spot where you're like, you know what, I look good here, I feel good here, I'm happier here, you're going to be able to maintain that. Because like if you start going over, you're like, uh-oh, I'm just going to cut back a little bit, and then you come back to baseline. Or it's like you go under, it's like, oh, got to eat a little bit more so I can go back to baseline. And when you're in that general
Mhm.
area, you're going to find it for yourself, and that's when it becomes so much easier. But at
Yeah.
first it takes some time of trial and error. And when I help you guys on this journey and stuff, even with the calorie counting, macronutrient counting, I think one of the most important things people need to understand is like, even if you had a certain calorie count, like let's say you have to get 2,300, like the calculator says 2,300 calories will help you lose weight if you eat that
Mhm.
much. Most of the time, sometimes you're eating more and sometimes you're eating less. But if you're in that ballpark range of just like
Yeah.
a certain amount, you should be
Like,
okay. It doesn't have to be perfect every single time. If you just so happen to be 20, you're trying to get that 2,300, you're 2,301, your diet's not ruined, right? Just
yeah.
1 calorie extra is not going to ruin your diet. And sometimes your body on some days might need more energy than other days because you're expending more by walking and being more
Mhm.
active, other stressors in your life. Let's say you got injured, you're going to need to eat more for your body to recover. Like all those kind of stuff plays into it. And like same goes with training too, is like you'll see programs where it's like, oh, here's a full chest, back, shoulders, arms workout program. What
Yeah.
happens if you can't make it? Does that screw everything up, or do you continue onwards? One thing I like is like, you have an upper body and a lower body program, take a rest day off, upper body, lower body program, take a rest day off, and just keep rinsing and repeating.
Mhm.
Or let's say what happens is you have an upper and lower back to back, and let's say you get sick on the lower body day, or let's say you just couldn't make it. It's not the end of the world because you just take that rest day off and then continue lower and then upper. And you just get that flexibility and just keep doing it repetitiously. That's where the progress happens.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different for everybody. No numerical like 2,300 calories is going to like magically help everybody lose weight. Some people need to eat more food, some people need to eat less food, and it's all a matter of like testing it out and seeing what works best for you. And even on top of that, if you deduct a certain amount of foods, if you feel like you're sleepy and sluggish and all that, chances are you might need to eat a little bit more. And you could
Yeah.
still, in eating a little bit more, you could still continue to lose weight as a result. It's just that if you're eating too low, you're not going to have the energy to function and move more and things like that. So it actually
Mhm.
halts the progress. So you want to be in this spot where you could find that you feel good, you're losing weight, you're getting progress in the gym. It's at the happy spot, and that happy spot is different for everybody. And it
Yeah.
it could get frustrating just to figure it out. But I promise you, with time, you're going to find it and you're going to get this groove, and then the magic happens.
Is there anything we can do to kind of jumpstart the progress, like a, I don't know, juice cleanse challenge, something to kind of flush the system, get all those toxins and sludge out?
So whenever it comes to like detoxing and stuff, that kind of stuff usually happens in a combination of fruits and vegetables. Those are going to be your ultimate antioxidants. Like
Okay.
people will tell you, oh yeah, it's these magical things, but it's like if you eat fruits and vegetables regularly, you're going to get all the bad shit out. And then also on top of that, you're being physically active and things like that. All we could do is just exercise, eat better, sleep
Mhm.
better, and just keep repeating that process. And that's where the best detoxifiers come through, because even sleep is like a detoxifier for the brain, because your brain accumulates waste, and then when you sleep you kind of bring it all out.
Okay, that makes sense.
I can talk about this stuff all day, but it just comes down to you doing it, right? You get
Yeah.
into it, just fucking get after it, see what progress works, see what doesn't, and then just take out the stuff that doesn't, and then try something different, and then if it works,
Mhm.
you just keep doing that. And the reason why I say this, the reason why I say there isn't a best program or the best nutrition, the best blah blah blah, it's because it's like I've mentioned, it's one that works best for you. And if you can find that, that's amazing. When you find that, everything falls into place. You're like, damn, I've not necessarily mastered nutrition, but I know my shit about nutrition. I know my shit about exercise, and I
Yeah.
can confidently go around stay in a good shape year round. I am happy at this weight. I'm going to live my life at this way. I feel energetic at this weight. And like when you find that, dude, it's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
You got it. That was a good talk. I had a blast talking about all the other outside stuff, the business, military stuff and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I did too. How long were we talking for? Curious.
Probably like 40 minutes or so, maybe 30,
Yeah.
40 minutes. That's a good talk overall.
It was a good talk.
Do you want to take it away?
Well, here at the Mood Lifters, we just have one question for you. Have you lifted your mood today?
Yes. Grant. Sorry, Chris took your spot today, bro.
Yeah, come on, Grant.
I want to thank you guys for watching. If you guys need anything, just let me know. Just throw it in the Facebook group, direct message me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But with that, guys, I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate Chris's time, and you guys have a great rest of your day.
Take care, guys.
Mood Lifters, I want to thank you all for watching and listening to this video/podcast. If you have any questions or comments, throw in the comments below. Direct message me at Live Reforged. In addition to that, guys, for my active viewers, for people that want to engage and be a part of this community, I started beta testing this. I don't know, whatever. I started testing the Discord group, and it's an exercise for mental health Discord group for the Mood Lifters. I'm going to throw in the show notes below. If you listen to this entire episode, welcome to it. This is your secret invite to the group. I don't know what I'll be doing with this group in the future, but essentially, I want to help you guys use exercise as a way to battle your depression. I want to help you guys with the nutrition stuff. I want to be able to sit down and talk with you guys over a call or anything along the lines of that. I just want some sort of, brotherhood of the sort, as we mentioned in this episode. So I would love to have you in there. Check the link in the show notes below. Click on it, join the group. We'd love to have you in here. In addition to that, guys, as you know, we have products that help you on your journey, a pre-workout and a sleep supplement. If you go on amazon.com/reforged, you can try them out. They're specifically tailored to you guys on your exercise for mental health journey. Our pre-workout and sleep supplement both crush. I love the sleep supplements flavor. I love the pre-workout for the extra kick. And if you haven't tried them out, head on over to amazon.com/reforged or check the links below. I guarantee you they'll help you out. And with that, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.